A manhunt is underway in Mexico for a cartel leader believed to be behind the kidnapping of 4 Americans, leaving 2 dead. Texas Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne joins us now. Congresswoman, thank you for joining us. This week on this program, I've been having a lot of conversations about our trading partners, China and Mexico being one of the biggest, and how if there's a way to exert some maybe economic pressure to help them cooperate with us a little bit more. Do you see sort of fair trade with Mexico as being one way economically that we can sort of get Mexico to engage with us as we also look at these horrible cartels and what's happening on that border?
Well, absolutely. I mean, we've been trying to do that for a number of different decades now. We've been trying to trade with Mexico, believing that if we can get the Mexican economy in a safe position, that people aren't going to want to continue to come into our southern border. But the fact is that before we can even start doing that, we need to make sure that what's happening in Mexico stops. We see the drug cartels in many instances being more powerful than the Mexican government. And we would hope that we could work with the Mexican government to get control over that. You know, we've been discussing, designating these drug cartels as terrorist organizations. And I know that there's some debate about that and what that means, for the future of asylum seekers. But the fact is, if it looks like a duck, waddles like a duck, and quacks like a duck, call it what it is. And when you've got these terrorist cartels that are going around their state and now in our state, attacking, innocent civilians, kidnapping them, murdering them, we've got a problem, and we need to be able to use every tool in our toolbox to be able to go after them, whether or not that's going after their bank accounts, whether or not that's going after them physically, whether or not that's going at, with every legal method that we've got. We should be focused on this because the crimes that they're committing, the families that they're affecting, what they're doing in crime to our communities is just outrageous. And I would hope that the Mexican government would want to partner with us on that.
Well, speaking of tools in the toolbox, a federal judge dealing a major blow to President Biden's border agenda, ruling against the administration's catch and release policy, allowing illegal migrants to be released into the U.S. The judge's ruling is coming in response to a Florida lawsuit that argued the mass release of migrants is unlawful. So you're talking about lawful means. This may be back on the table, or at least getting catch and release off the table. Congresswoman, how big of a deal would it be if this judge's ruling is upheld as it goes through appeal?
It would mean that our Customs and Border Protection folks would be able to do their job as opposed to acting as cab drivers. It would mean that they would be able to be at the border securing our country. It would also send a huge message to the human traffickers and to the drug cartels that when you come to our border, you're not just going to be accepted. We're not just going to give you a plane ticket or a bus ticket to go anywhere in our country that you want. And that has to happen because as much as they can get, the verbiage from our borders, our vice president, that our borders are closed. The fact is, when they come here, they haven't seen that. They've been allowed to pass through. So I really want to commend the judge for that rule. And I think it could be extremely effective in getting our resources back to where they need to be.
Congresswoman, I want to get your take on this. New York City Mayor Adams is criticizing Vice President Kamala Harris over the migrant crisis in New York City. Listen to this.
There needs to be an individual who is dedicated to do the decompression strategy for the federal government. One person we should be looking at. It is often stated that it's the role of the VP. That's too much in her portfolio to be focused on just doing that decompression strategy. If not, the decompression strategy can't be New York City.
So I basically think he's saying that she hasn't done anything and she was the borders are. Your thoughts?
Well, I think when he starts thinking about how many people have actually come to New York City versus come to the state of Texas versus come to Texas, to Dallas or to Houston, I would argue that he's gotten a tiny taste of what our state has been feeling for a number of years now. But yes, I mean, he's absolutely right. The borders, our position is very important. When you see over 100,000 people, 107,000 people in our country have been murdered by drug overdoses, primarily fentanyl, it is an issue that if it was any other cause of death, we would have taken up right now. When you think about the crime that has been increasing in our cities, when you think about the strain on the communities trying to provide housing, trying to provide education, healthcare, it is an extreme stress in all of these communities. And he's absolutely right. It is as a direct result of the policies of this administration.
Congresswoman, great to see you.